on, everyone? Welcome to the Stock Market Morning Prep video for Wednesday, August 18th. Crazy price action yesterday. I have to tell you, we are getting into the doldrums of the summer, and it just continues to literally just chop around. We haven't really gone anywhere. Too slightly down bias yesterday. Yesterday would be, if history repeats itself, the weakest day of the options expiration week for the monthly expiration. So a lot of chop. I mean, it has been really brutal. That was probably the worst day I've seen in a long time. I wanted to go over what to expect this week. Yesterday I showed you the max pain for the spider options, and you can do that manually by looking at the open interest of calls and puts, or had a bunch of emails yesterday asking me, you know, is there a way to go instead of doing that because maybe some of the traders might be uncomfortable. Well, you could go into any max pain calculator, just Google max pain calculator or expiration, and you'll get what I'm showing you here. And I had said 210 yesterday, and you could see it right here. It was 210. And it's really the same way, just calculating the outstanding, the highest calls and puts, and then you'll get what I just mentioned yesterday. So here's the 210, and here's what we're still predicting. Now remember, I wouldn't trade off of it, but I would say that it does work quite a bit. So just keep that in the back burner. That we are down a little bit now. We're down 7 handles in the ES. So remember, the spiders is 210. So we could actually go all the way down to 205, 206, 207, and then rally back up. I think that's a big move for this week. But you get what I'm saying, that we can move outside of that 210 area and eventually close in that 210. So if we get any weakness, further weakness like we're getting today, or even closer tomorrow, I would be inclined to look for some sort of support or some stabilization in the markets for the week, and then look to put a bid in and look to buy that. Okay. Now, just briefly, I want to show you. Here's a 5-minute spider chart. I mean, if you could see closer to the end of the day, market rallied off of this move lower. We sold off, back up, sold off, back up, sold off, back up. And this is just insane. I mean, where we couldn't break the pivot point for the day, but it just literally did absolutely nothing. And then we had a market on closing balance was somewhere north of like 700 million for sale, and the markets didn't go anywhere. So crazy price action, guys. You could see here. And if you go into a 10-minute, which I like to use a lot, you can see we really haven't gone anywhere other than a slightly grind lower, but no movement, absolutely no volume. So this is definitely a difficult time. The last couple of weeks of August and the last couple of weeks of December usually are difficult times when volume drops off and volatility picks up. Now, especially when we have China in the forefront of news here. China continues to sell off, and really it's starting to hurt a lot of the multinationals. And I do think that, and I mentioned this for the last year and change, that eventually it's not going to go unnoticed, and it is really now starting to really take shape here. We're getting massive sell-offs where the government's trying to keep everything in check, and that's just not working. So it's definitely going to affect our markets as well as worldwide markets. If you go look at a lot of the other markets in Europe, the London FTSE, the German DAX, the big ones, the Paris, French CAC. Cacaron, that is just they're all getting decimated. So are we in a correction? We could absolutely be in a correction right now. We could absolutely be on our way to a correction. Now when we get to the point of where we are, it's going to take a little time. It's not going to just be straight down. The markets are made to fool the masses, so we're going to go down, we're going to go up, and especially this week for anything, this is something that I take it with a grain of salt. We have 2-3 tier traders that are taking over the trading desk while the main players are out on vacation. So you really take that with a grain of salt. But when we get into next week, in the last week of August, that's something that I'm going to be watching closely. And remember, I am looking for a move higher, and then get that capitulatory high, get everybody long, and then have that correction. Can that change? Absolutely. So again, let's just keep an eye on what's happening around us and see if we can kind of get a better view of where the market may be headed in the next few weeks. Just quickly on the index, you see the spiders. We're in this area, this long-term horizontal trend line, horizontal channel, which we have gone nowhere, as you can see from 2015. Now making a symmetrical triangle within this channel. This would be less of significance on a breakout. We really need to break down below the 205 or be up above 213 to really make any headway to the upside. Does it mean if we break out of this symmetrical triangle that we're not going to at least tag the upward trend line? No, of course not. You can still trade that. But when the symmetrical triangles are on an uptrend, it just gives you more significance, just a continuation pattern. Or if it's on a downtrend and it makes a symmetrical triangle, it would just continue lower. But since we're sideways, we still got to give a little bit of wiggle room when this does break high, because we could just tag this and then roll back down again. So just keep an eye on this. Watch this closely on the spiders. Diamonds, as you can see, we're still below the 200 and below this trend line area of resistance. So it needs a lot of work to do. And you can see we had an inside day from the previous big move up on Monday, I believe it was. Transports, not doing so great, but not doing so bad. We're back above, alleviate this bearish symmetry of lower lows and lower highs. So we're still kind of stuck in this range here. And we are above the 50 and above the 20, but we still need to get really above the 200-day moving average. So maybe, just maybe, we get a little bit of strength into today, and we start to tag this by the end of the week or early next week, and then see where the market goes from there. Russell, now we have a bullish fallen wedge, which is a bullish pattern. Only bullish when the market breaks out and closes outside of this upward trend line. Okay, does that mean that it's going to run right up? We don't know yet, but we need to close. And when the market usually breaks out of this, we usually get a further move higher, and then we get a pullback to make that higher low from this previous low here. So watch the Russell, because the Russell really is some sort of a leading indicator, as this index topped in 2000 and topped in 2009 prior to all of the other index several months before. So this to me does not look great, but for temporary pop higher, a bullish fallen wedge pattern seems pretty much common here. Okay, so let's watch this and see if we get a pop out of there, maybe tag that 50, and then the market starts to roll again. All right, that is possible. Okay, so bullish pattern, not triggered, needs to break out and on a closing basis first. Okay, so we'll be watching that closely today. And then lastly is the Qs. Now technology's been holding up pretty well, but you look at the SOX index, the SOX or the XLK ETF. It's just really starting to break down. So that tells me if the semiconductor index is breaking down, the Qs are just going to follow. So just keep that in mind, guys, when you're trading technology. Okay. Hope it helps today. Let's see what happens. We have oil inventories. That's going to be critical. Oil had a nice rally yesterday. Some of the oil stocks kind of lagged. So watch some of the COPs, the ConocoPhillips, watch the XLE ETF, the SLB, HES, HES, EOG. Those are some of the names I really like for a recovery move higher. But again, we need some further stabilization in oil, and then I think you can really start accumulating some of these stocks for at least a good, decent bounce. Okay, let's see what happens going into today, and then I will speak to you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.